In this episode, we're going to be talking about the millionaire mindset with the master himself, Harv Eker.
Welcome to Thriving Launch with Louise Congdon and Kamala Chambers, the show for heart-centered entrepreneurs who want it all.
5 days a week, we bring you different segments to inspire you to live a life of freedom. We interview the leading experts in the field of business, health, and love. Be sure to check out Training Tuesdays, where we give you a clear action plan to grow your own business.
How would you like to be able to interview world-class experts? Sit down and have chats with people like Jack Canfield, Marianne Williamson, Robert Kiyosaki, Tim Ferriss, you name it. Would you love to interview other people that you really admire and consider to be your heroes? Well, we've created a course for you that teaches you how to podcast, how to set it all up, and how to get going so that you can really have a successful show and you can do it properly. Over at thrivinglaunch.com, we have a podcasting course, and it's there for you, waiting for you to snatch it up. So head on over to thrivinglaunch.com and let me teach you how to podcast the right way. Today's guest is the creator of The Millionaire Mind, New York Times bestselling author Harv Eker. Absolutely an honor to have him on the show today. I've been to his seminars. I've ran through his courses, his programs. Absolutely love his work. And it's such an honor to have him here because he's going to teach you how to have a millionaire mind. All right, Thriving Launchers. So exciting to be here with you guys. I'm really excited because we have Harv Eker here today. And as you already know, I'm a big fan of his work. It's something that's made a big difference in my life. When I was really broke, really down and out, I scrounged the last of my money together to go to his event, and it was life-changing. Absolutely loved his event. So without further ado, Harv, are you ready to launch?
I am.
Awesome. You know, one of the things I want to ask you today, and it's a big one for me, especially as a guy who former life trying to seek monkhood, former life working in the nonprofit world, so very interested in giving, very interested in spirituality, but there was this side of me that was totally cut off, and that's why I'm an entrepreneur now, is kind of just developing the self. But there's a side that was cut off for so long, and it was that side of me that was okay with finances and financial success. So it was okay for me to go and pay for 6 months and go and into the community and round up 6 months worth of rent for a homeless woman. And that was one of the biggest glories that I've had in my world. But it was not okay for me to have 6 months worth of money saved up. And it was not okay for me to have financial success. And I had to do so much work around that. Why do you think that there's this kind of chasm or this gap between success and spirituality and finances? Why is that?
Well, I mean, like many other things, it comes from our conditioning. It comes mostly from our upbringing when we are young. You know, we come out of the womb, we don't know anything about money or anything like that. And so, you know, we're not conditioned around that. But as we grow up and are in our family, with friends, with uncles, with aunts, with grandparents, et cetera, you know, we learn how to do everything. We learn how to walk, we learn how to talk, we learn how to do money and how to think about money. And there's a lot of negativity, let's call it, amongst the spiritual communities around money. And it starts with old sayings like, you know, money is the root of all evil and things like that. And then, so, you know, it's no wonder. And the spiritual community, especially the churches, et cetera, they frown on money. They frown on wealth. You know, you should have love for God and not for money. Now, what I would say is I would agree with that. You know, I'm a spiritual person myself, but where's the conflict here? I mean, the idea is that you can have both. I mean, the understanding is that, and I don't mean to be rude to anyone or any organization and by any stretch. However, it's very interesting that certain organizations will tell you that money is bad and then pass around the hat. Right? But so it's so bad, you should give it to us, and happen to be the largest real estate holders on planet Earth. So, you know, the idea here is that the old idea is money is the root of all evil. That is not what the Bible says. It says that the love of money is the root of all evil. And I would tend to agree with that. You know, if you love money more than everything else, you got a problem. And so the idea here is that you can be what I teach and what I like to espouse to my students is that you can be kind, generous, loving, balanced, and spiritual, and really freaking rich. Why not? And I want to just mention one more thing about that. You were talking earlier about helping other people. Well, listen, when you're broke, who do you help? I mean, you can go around and give your time, and believe me, I believe that's wonderful. However, time doesn't just cut it when there's hurricanes and disasters and floods and all kinds of natural disasters where they need blankets and medicine and transportation and all these things, whether we like it or not. In a perfect world that wouldn't, they all cost money. And so I always, tend to think about when I'm earning a lot of money, and I'm happy to say and proud to say that I do, then, there's a percentage that goes to me and what I need, what helps me. But there's also a contribution factor, and a very large one from people, myself and my students, that goes to help other people. And when you've got a lot of money and when you're rich, you can do a lot of serious helping.
I absolutely agree with you. I'm so glad that we're here talking about this topic. And one thing that I really would love to hear from you is, how do we at Thriving Launch, we have a lot of entrepreneurs here, people that are, that know these things, but if it's the struggle within, still the internal, the guilt that may come with having money, with creating wealth, how do we start to move and shift to the millionaire mindset?
Well, that's a great question because, you hit the nail on the head. As I said earlier, we learned how to be about money. And the question is, who did we learn from? So you've got to take a look at the sources of your information. Remember, we come into on earth, we're born as an empty vessel, an empty cup. Then we proceed to get filled up with information, and then we live based on that information. And so the question is, who gave you that information? And if you can look at that and become aware of where you got the beliefs that you got about money, for example, and the issues around it, there's something wrong with it, or et cetera, where you got that. And then the idea is to, number one, be aware of it. Number two is understanding aware that you've got a belief system that isn't working for you. And number two is the process of understanding where it came from. And the reason for that is that once you know that information came outside of you from another person or another group, then you can now disassociate from that, saying, that's them, that's not me. And from here on in, I'm going to choose my beliefs based on what is right for me in my life, based on who I am and where I want to be and where I want to go. So you have the right to choose the way you think. You have the right to choose your beliefs. You do not need to act on old conditioning and old beliefs. And that, everybody, as you might know, is called consciousness. Consciousness, living from the present moment, making choices from the present moment versus based on conditioning and programming from the past, which runs you instead of you running it.
What's really powerful, guys, is as I'm listening to T. Harv talk, what's really powerful for me is it reminds me of my own process that I really had to go through. And I know that you guys are incredibly loving people. I know that you guys have tons of goals and aspirations. And I know that we're all here together with T. Harv, and I know that you guys continually come back to the show because there's this balance that we really want to give you between being an entrepreneur, being somebody who's out in the world doing things, and also being someone who has a spiritual, nonprofit, philanthropist, family person, all of that other parts of life, that you have all of that combined. And as he's talking, I'm really thinking about how I didn't have that part of me developed. I was actually afraid to talk about money. And it was something that, because of that fear, it was like taking a hose and putting a kink in it. And when we think about that as an expression of life, it's like, I have a beautiful garden, and over here, this is the garden of how I give to people, how I'm involved in my community. But when you look at the garden where what's my home life like, and my ability to contribute and have the things that really make me happy and allow me to just feed myself and the people that are really close to me, like my friends and family, I didn't have that. And so going through that developmental piece where you're starting to ask yourself, well, is it okay with me that I'm broke, or is it okay with me if I make some extra money? You know, you have this story, T, that I love, where you're watching a television show and there's this guy who's like a billionaire, and you're having a response to it like, whoa, you know, and they're talking on the television about how much more money this guy made. And you started judging him like, oh, whoa, why is he making all that money? That's ludicrous. Should someone have all that money? And then you, boom, snap, you caught yourself and you're like, wait, I'm having judgments about wealth and finances about him. That's somehow got to be cutting me off. And then you started going, you know what? I'm going to congratulate him. I'm going to say, oh, way to go, man. And you like jumped up and started celebrating. Why is that important?
Well, you know, there's one of the things that's important is to, you know, so the question in a lot of your clients and listeners' minds is, so what the heck do I do about this, right? As I said, the numbers start with awareness, then understanding, disassociation, and then you choose some new beliefs. But what beliefs do you choose? What ways of thinking do you choose? You choose the way that rich and successful people, the beliefs and thoughts that they have. And remember, when I say rich and successful people and their thoughts, I am not talking about bad people. All right. I'm not talking about, and this is the one I want to get to right away, because it's in line with what you just mentioned. A lot of people have the connotation, or were taught, or still being taught and conditioned, that rich people are bad. Somehow, in shape or form, that rich people are bad. Now, first, if you believe that rich people are bad and you want to be a good person, guess what? You just slit your throat. You can never be rich. I'll say it again. If you believe that rich people are bad and you want to be a good person, you can never be rich or even highly successful with money. All right. And so what do you need to do? As I said earlier, you need to recognize the reality that these are people the same as you and everybody else who've done something, and I'll tell you what in a moment here, to gain their success and their wealth, just like you would have done. So the idea is to admire and model other rich and successful people. Just as if you were wanted to be on the pro tennis tour or something, you would want to probably admire and model professional tennis players and do what they do, right? You don't want to just make the whole thing up on your own if you can help it.
And so, T, can I jump in real quick? Because you're saying something that's really special to me, and I want to extract it a little bit from my own experience and how I utilize this teaching from your work, from your awesome and fantastic book, Millionaire Mind. One of the things that you said that I absolutely love just now is you need to start looking at rich people in a different way. Because if you think that they're bad, then you're going to cut yourself off from being a good person from being that bad person. If it's contrary and not congruent with your own belief system, you will find a way to sabotage it. And I just wanted to share, my dad growing up would say a lot of things about rich people that were fairly negative. Oh, that guy, he's a jerk. He just owns this big yacht and he's super wealthy. That guy's, and he'd say a lot of stuff. I love my dad, one of the greatest people on the planet, but this was one little hang up that he had. And I remember going, I have to change this. And so one of the things that I did, Harv, is I started looking for examples of things that really wealthy people were doing that were completely congruent with things that I thought were great. So I started, looking up nonprofits and celebrities and famous people and philanthropists who are donating to celebrities and money that was being given out. And I was going, whoa, look at that building. That somebody that's super rich pretty much put all the money up for that. Whoa, look at that homeless person. It's because of this rich person that homeless person doesn't have to sleep there tonight because that nonprofit is being funded by these people. And I just wanted to say that because that is such a great exercise that you just gave.
Yeah. So let me give you one more to that too, to add to it. There is most people, as you said, resent rich people. And so here's the thing. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about Huna, the Hawaiian philosophy. And there's a Huna philosophy. There's a phrase that changed my life. And I want everyone, when you have a chance, if you're driving, don't do it now. But when you have a chance, I want you to write this down. I want you to read it at least every day for a month. Just constantly read it. And that's what I did. It made a big difference for me. It makes a big difference for my hundreds of thousands of students. Here's the Huna philosophy. It says this: bless that which you want. Bless that which you want. If you see somebody who's got a beautiful car, a Lamborghini, someone, instead of going, oh, what a jerk that guy must, he parks like right in front. First of all, he didn't park it in front, the valet did, because it went look classy. You bless that car and you bless the person that owns that car. If you see somebody with a beautiful home, you bless that home and you bless the person who owns that home. You see somebody with a beautiful family, you bless that person with the family, you bless the family, all right? Because anything listen everybody, anything that you negate, you can never have. I'll say it again. Anything that you negate, you can never have. Now, I want to make one more point about this because this is very, very important to me because this is the way I was myself. I too was at one point in time looking for monkhood. And so, this completely changed my life. But people say, well, rich people are bad. And let me ask you a simple question. In my seminars, I say, okay, let's take that. Let's get to some reality here. All right. So raise your hand if you believe that it's true that at least there are some rich people. You can't say all rich people are bad. So if you believe that some rich people are bad, everybody raises their hand. Okay, I said, let me ask you another question, a quote unquote bad, of course, right? So how many of you also believe that there's some middle class people who are quote unquote bad? Everybody raises their hand. Okay, how many of you believe there's some quote unquote poor people who are quote unquote bad? Everybody raises their hand. So there's some rich people who are bad, some middle class people who are bad, some poor people who are bad. What the heck does this have to do with money? It's has nothing to do with money. It has to do with the person. Money will only allow you to be more of what you already are. If you are a quote unquote greedy jerk, money will allow you to become more of a greedy jerk. If you are a good and kind and generous person, money will allow you to have more expansive generosity and goodness and kindness. That's all it's going to do. Now, the big question, everybody, is not about them. It's about you. So let me ask you a simple question. If you were to get millions of dollars, do you think you would now just turn into a a-hole, a jerk, a bad person, a thief? Do you think that would happen? It's just going to fall on your head and it's going to be, oh my God, I'm a multimillionaire. Now I'm a bad person. That's ridiculous. You're going to be who you are. If you are a good person, and you are, then money is just going to add to that. It's not going to make you a bad person. That's old garbage. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yes. So I absolutely love what you're saying here because it's so important for shifting to that millionaire mindset. Can you just give us a little more context about what is a millionaire mind?
Well, it's very simple. A millionaire mind is simply the way that millionaires/rich people think versus the way broke people think. Remember, everyone, again, I would urge you to write this down. It's called the process of creation. Your thoughts create your feelings, which create your actions, which create your results. So your results originate where? In your thoughts. Here's a good question. How do you get your thoughts? Well, again, as I said earlier, you learn how to think the way you do by who? By other people, other organizations, the media, etc. You're living their life. I'm going to say it again. You're living their life. Their information was ingrained into you. That turned into your beliefs, your feelings, your actions from there, and your results. If you want to take ownership of your life, you need to take back ownership of your beliefs and your thoughts that make sense today, currently. So a millionaire mind is someone who thinks rich, who thinks like a rich person thinks. And, in my, a lot of people have gone to the course, but they read the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. There's 17 ways that rich people think very, very differently than other people.
That is really powerful. What you just said is there's a different mindset, and there was a little disconnect there because you were, and I don't want to miss that when you were saying something and then there was a little disconnect with the internet, and it was so powerful what you were saying, and it can be really wrapped up really well. And what you just now said is that there's a difference in the mindset. The mindset is different. I think of our minds as a projector. If we're in the movies and we're watching something out on the screen, a lot of the results in your life are because of this projector. So what you're watching out on the screen is actually being projected by something else, and that's your mind, and the reality that you have is just a projection of what you've been thinking and how you've been feeling. And I know that you have a free gift because this is something very special to me, you guys. T. Harv has come on the show, and he's got a special gift for all of you. And what's exciting to me about that is if you want to change your mind, He has the tools. He has the resources. So I'm going to let him talk a little bit about that free gift, and I want you guys to go grab that. You can come over to the website. You can grab it. But T, can you tell him about the gift?
Absolutely. It's I think this is one of the most important little books that I've ever written and ever taught with. It's called Speed Wealth: How to Stop Earning a Living and How to Start Creating Wealth. And the essence of it is 8 very, very specific principles and steps that are necessary to create a dynamic business that creates quickly, and therefore it's called Speed Wealth. But only one little tiny part of it has anything to do with the mind. The idea is that what we've talked about now, if you want to do that, you could pick up my book somewhere, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, that talks about that. But Speed Wealth, so you can have all the great mindset you want, but what the heck do you do in your business? What the heck do you do around money, et cetera, et cetera? I went from zero. I had a $2,000 credit card loan, and I went from a $2,000 credit card loan to a millionaire in 2.5 years using these exact steps. Now, I will caution you that these steps need to be followed, all 8, and all 8 in order. If you do that, my assumption and my guess and my prediction is many of you can go from wherever you are to literally what I'm going to call rich in less than 3 years. That's why it's called Speed Wealth. That's what I did. So I outlined exactly what I did and how I did it. And now I can tell you that I have tens of thousands of students that have done exactly the same thing and got exactly the same result. So I would highly recommend that you get your hands on this and read it carefully. Keep it in your bathroom or wherever you are staying for a lot, quite a bit, and follow the 8 steps religiously and in order. And because it is so imperative, I hate when people, especially spiritually based people, struggle. There's no reason for it. You're missing some critical knowledge that I wish I had for the 15 years I was completely broke. Then once I understood this, I put it to the test. I got rich very, very quickly. Continue to my wealth based on these steps. So I want to give everyone a gift of this, of a copy of Speed Wealth today. All you need to go is to www.harvekeronline.com/thrive. So harveonline.com/thrive. And I'm not sure, is it going to be on your website where they can just click on it, please?
You guys all know that we got all the resources at thrivinglaunch.com too, in case you're driving and don't write that down. So
right. Well, listen, everybody, there's no reason you cannot have both. I'm a big believer in both. The either or mentality is a scarcity and fear-based mentality that doesn't work for you, and it sure doesn't work for the people that you'd like to help in the world. So let's let that either or mentality go. Let's go for both. You can be rich and spiritual and kind and generous. You can have it all. People are, they're good at the piano. That's okay. They're good at tennis. That's okay. They're successful in business. That's okay. Why can't you be good at money? Why is that a problem? You're excellent in everything else, but you're bad at money. What reason there is? And it's right between your ears. So once we change that, and then we add the Speed Wealth knowledge to exactly what to do and how to do it in your business and your life, I find wealth is not hard whatsoever, because wealth, remember this, everybody, wealth, money is a result. It is a result of what you do. And this is exactly what to do.
before we close out today, what is the last thought that you want to make sure the Thriving Launchers walk away with?
Okay, I'll give it to you very simple. How do you make money? Very simple. You make money. Money is something that is only transferred by other people. It doesn't come from the sky. It doesn't come from the universe. It doesn't come from cows. It doesn't come from trees. It doesn't come from dogs. It's exchanged by other people. How would anybody do money? They're going to solve a problem for them. Put on solving a problem for people, and the reward is called money. Don't think about money. Don't focus on money. Focus on helping and solving other people. Do it in an intelligent business way, and the results will surprise you.
So great. We've been here with Harv Eker on Thriving Launch. Everyone, go out and practice these 8 steps. Claim that free offer, that free book that he's giving all of you. You can pick that up where he directed you and also at thrivinglaunch.com. Keep thriving, everyone. You've been listening to the Thriving Launch podcast. For books and resources related to today's episode, make sure to head over to thrivinglaunch.com. We'll see you there.
Be sure to tune into tomorrow's episode where we talk with Ryan Mickler from Order of Man on how to have a strong, confident voice and stand for something.